Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Jessica, and this is just where I talk about things no one asked me about. On my last video, you witnessed me, shiny and chrome, talking about all the spring outfits I am not going to get to wear because spring was canceled, and I'm still pretty salty about that. Another thing that I want to talk about is basically, I'm a writer, and like a lot of writers, I get really opinionated about shit I didn't write. So, there's gonna be quite a bit of that on this channel in addition to the style stuff. So, just FYI, this video in particular, though, is about the first season of The Legend of Korra, which, if you didn't know, welcome, is the follow-up to Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is arguably one of the best animated series of all time, okay? If not the. Don't at me. I mean, do it. Whatever. I don't care. But I'm still right. So, whatever. I don't know how far you're gonna get by adding me, but hey, you do your thing. So, the first challenge that Korra, the character, had was to make me like her, right? To make me empathize with her. And yeah, that was gonna be difficult because I was like, listen, is your name Anne? If it's not, then good day, madam. By the way, Aang is the name of the main character in Avatar: The Last Airbender. In case you didn't know that, which I'm sure that you did because you're watching this video, but I digress. Anyway, at that, the series Korra kind of fails. I'm not even kidding. It's very hard to like Korra initially. So, I'm having a lot of trouble with this take, by the way. I don't know why this is happening, but it's really annoying. I don't know if it's because I'm about to go into a primer as to what bending is, and I'm not even sure you need that because you're watching this video. So, I don't know. I guess I'll just be thorough and cover my bases, right? So, Avatar: The Last Airbender is primarily the story of Aang, who is the Avatar. And his story is basically a journey to save the world by learning to So, okay, just to briefly summarize, Avatar: The Last Airbender is Aang's story. His quest is to save the world, and in order to do that, he needs to learn and master the 3 bending styles that he has not had time to learn because he's been stuck in an iceberg for 100 years. Whatever, long story. Not that long. It's explained in like the first episode, but whatever. Without getting too deep into it, that's really his journey. Really get to know him, you get to know his friends, you get to see a bunch of relationships kind of find their way, and it's just, it's really cool. 3 seasons, and by the way, there is a live action film that you should avoid. So I actually wanted to take a moment and explain why you should avoid the film, but I feel like it's gonna take us into a whole other direction. It actually upset me to talk about it. So take my word for it, you don't need to watch the film. And I'm gonna move on to why I'm even telling you this. The Legend of Korra picks up 70 years after Avatar: The Last Airbender closes. And part of its mission as a series really is to be like, it's a new day here. This series is very different from that other series you're familiar with, and we want to let you know that right away. So the differences between Korra and Aang are pronounced from the first episode. And not only that, but I feel like the creators really went out of their way to let us know that Korra is not just different from Aang, but in a lot of ways they're polar opposites, right? And I understand why they'd want to do that. I mean, this show was hugely popular, and you could definitely see the impulse to let us know that this wasn't more of the same, right? Which is totally fine. Korra she's very brash and in your face, and Anne was more with the go with the flow kind of, whatever. He's an airbender, so as an air sign, I can get behind that. Korra she's very muscular, very physically imposing. Aang is like very small, very slight. When we meet Korra is a bending prodigy. Like by the time we meet her, she's already mastered fire, earth, water, and the one thing she has to master is air. Whereas Aang, as we talked about, was already an airbending master, but he had to master these 3 other elements. These very deliberate differences are highlighted on the first episode. I mean, if you saw it, then you saw...
Korra, please come in here.
I'm the Avatar! You gotta deal with it!
And just in case you forgot, other characters in the show felt the need to remind you.
I can't believe your sweet-tempered father was reincarnated into that girl. She's tough as nails.
Reminds me of someone else I knew at that age. You two might get along if you would only give her a chance.
And I know it sounds like I'm complaining. I'm not. Maybe a little. Maybe a lot. Hear me out. So, it kind of works, right? It's very clear that Korra is a very different character from Aang. So, that worked. However, the things that make her different are also the things that make her really hard to like. And here's what I mean. I read somewhere, if I find the article, I'll post it in the description, but that when the creators went to the network, Nickelodeon, with this show, they did a bunch of testing, and they wanted to assure the network that Korra would be liked by boys as much as she would be liked by girls. Because, boys thought she was cool. Like, she's smart and strong, and she's got all these powers, and she kicks butt, so why not? Like, what's not to like? Well, I have something. I really thought about this. I think the reason I didn't really like Korra is because, they took a really annoying male character, and by really annoying, I mean a poorly written one, who's just a cliche, right? Like, he's super aggressive, and he doesn't play by the rules, all of that stuff is, lame, right? When we see male characters who behave that way, we're like, here we go. And I don't know who told the creators of Korra that simply changing a character like that from a man to a woman makes it less annoying, right? Like, doing a name swap from Kevin to Korra doesn't make it any less of a cliche, you guys. It's still annoying. Like, yeah, here she comes. She's very confident. She is ready to beat everyone up. She encounters the most beautiful girl or mean boy or whatever. And at first, they have no time for her. But then they come around. It's like... So, yeah, that is a complaint. But I'm just saying, right? It's interesting to play around with established archetypes. I wish everyone would just keep in mind. I mean, this includes myself as a writer, right? Just because you can have a lame, overused dynamic and archetype, just switching the genders around doesn't fix that. Like I don't know if that was their intent, but that's definitely what it felt like for me. So there are some things that I really did like, and I really found like pretty interesting about Korra. First of all, can we talk about how beautiful the animation is? You gotta give them props. No joke. They're so clean and stylish. I mean, even if you compare the later episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender, which definitely had, an increase in quality towards the end, and Korra, there's a marked difference, right? There's like a 10-year difference, I think. I'm not sure. I'm just saying, so beautiful. Good job, guys. And the steampunk aesthetic, such an interesting use of that. I don't know that I've seen it work that way before. From a story standpoint, I found it really interesting that they incorporated the idea of like an anti-bending sentiment that is gaining strength in the city that Korra lives in. It's called Republic City. It brought up something interesting for me because I thought, in Avatar: The Last Airbender, it seemed like bending was an art form, right? Like, or a discipline, right? Like you could, if you had an aptitude for it, and if you worked really hard, you could become really great at it. So I guess I kind of always saw it that way. Like if when I was a little kid, really loved the way that earthbenders or firebenders did their thing, I could be really great at it if I worked at it. Kind of like being an athlete, right? I kind of thought that it was like that. But in Legend of Korra, it's not really treated that way. It's treated like you're either born with it or you're not, right? So I guess there are benders, and then there are regular people, who are most people, right? So you could see how something like this would occur. Like you'd have these bending people who are able to do amazing things, and they're just regular people who have regular jobs, right? So I guess that's interesting. By the way, I have not read the comics. I know that there are some comics that fill in a bunch of gaps in the story. I don't know if there are any comics that go into that a little further. But if so, just please let me know and I'll take a look at that. But anyway, so this movement in Republic City is called the Equalists, right? Now at first I was like, oh my god, they know about Denzel. Oh god, I just got tea all over me. And the leader of the Equalists is this guy who can take away your bending, right? So he can take away your specialness and make you just like everyone else, which is, I don't know that I really got how that happened. Just spoiler alert, major spoilers. It turns out he's doing it through blood bending, which was introduced in Avatar: The Last Airbender, but it never really went much deeper than that. And I don't know, I guess he was able to do something special to your brains, and then you become not able to bend, I guess. Another thing in Korra is that, I guess I like some of the characters that are introduced. This video is only about season 1, by the way. I'm almost done with season 2. I'll do another video on season 2 later. But season 1, I was okay with. In summary, I really just had to get to the point where I liked Korra on some level, you know. I feel like towards the end of the first season, I kind of got there. It was a struggle. It didn't have to be that hard, you guys. Like, you guys could have just, I don't know, do some character work, y'all. And I feel like the only character that's getting depth is maybe Tenzin? Yes, Tenzin. I like him. He's cool. And I'm with him when like Korra is all working really hard not to learn airbending. Like, what the fuck, Korra? Like, anyway, that's all I have to say about Korra, Legend of Korra season 1. If you if you want to say something, leave a comment. Do all the cool stuff. Subscribe if you want to see more like this. Yeah. See you guys later.